Hey guys, welcome to MacReddit. Today, I have compiled some of the most interesting Reddit stories for you. Let's dive into them without wasting any time. AITAH, for refusing to help my sister take care of our entitled wheelchair-bound mother. Last week, I, 25-year-old female, told my sister that I can neither take care of our wheelchair-bound mother nor send any money for her. My mom, Susan, now 59 years old, has never been a responsible parent in her life. She was abusive, narcissistic, an alcoholic, and a drug user. My dad, Henry, passed away when I was just 9 years old. My older sister, Katie, 42 years old female, moved out as soon as possible, but I was left alone with my mom. My childhood was marked by abuse and neglect. Just 2 months after my father's death, my mother, who was then 39, entered into a relationship with a man named Calvin, now dead. He was like a male version of her, psycho, alcoholic, and drug addict like her. She often used to leave me alone at home for days or even weeks while she went out of the city with her boyfriend. I didn't know how to cook, wash clothes, or keep up the home, but I tried my best to live and manage things alone. After 3 years of dating, my mother married her boyfriend, and he moved in with us at our home, and his moving in our home turned into hell. My mother and her husband would drink, eat, and mess up all over in the home, and there were parties at our home almost every weekend. The two alcoholics turned the home into a bar. One weekend, my mother went to have a party with her colleagues and left me at home with her husband, who was sick those days. When she left, he was asleep, but when he woke up, he asked me to bring him breakfast. I said I am not responsible for taking care of his stuff, and that I was busy studying. My refusal made him angry, and he slapped me in the face and pulled me towards him by gripping my chest and gave me another slap. I am not sure what he was going to do next, but I was doubtful of him. Before he could proceed, I managed to escape and ran out of the home, and I didn't come home until my mother returned. I am so pissed off that I think, why didn't I call the police at that time and complain about my stepdad's behavior? Had I done so, my life would have been very different. When my mother returned home in the evening, I told her what my stepfather had tried to do, expecting that she would stand for me, at least at this point. But she disappointed me. Instead of confronting her husband, she scolded me, saying that I was trying to distort her relationship with her husband. She also insisted that her husband was now my father, and that I should respect him. This was the day I genuinely started hating her, and promised to myself that I will move out as soon as possible, without considering the legal age, and would cut off all ties with my mother. At the age of 15, I joined high school where I met my soulmate, David. Now, he is my husband. He was the first student I met on the first day of school, and we became good friends in no time. And as time passed, our friendship blossomed into love, and our relationship was romantic, but not physical. After dating for 1.5 years, David introduced me to his parents, who are the nicest parents I have seen. After the first introduction, I started visiting them often, and there developed a strong bond with them, particularly with my boyfriend's mom. When she saw how neglected I was, she asked me about my situation. I told her what I was going through. After hearing my story, she got emotional and asked me to move in with them and promised that she would take care of me. Initially, I was hesitant because of the legal complexities involved in moving out before reaching 18, but I made the tough decision, thinking that if my mother tried to get me back, I would complain to the police about her abuse and have her sent to jail. After making a plan for what to do if my mother tried to get me back home, I moved in with my boyfriend's parents at 17. They are really nice people, and they did a lot for me, even going above and beyond. They arranged a separate room for me so that I could live comfortably and study in a peaceful environment. They also promised to take on all my expenses until I start earning. When my mother learned that I had moved out, she became very angry with me and asked me to return home. However, she didn't use any legal means to bring me back, as she was secretly happy about my moving out. Even though she was a neglectful parent, I was still her responsibility, and she would have to return home to check on me and see if I was alive. She also had to pay my school fees and bear other expenses. When I moved out, she had more money to spend on drugs and wine. She didn't talk to me for 3 years after I moved out. However, when her husband died 5 years ago, she contacted me and asked me to attend the funeral. I refused, stating that I hated him, the molester, and that he should go to hell from my side. Despite this, My sister continued to insist that I visit my mother because she was mourning and going through a difficult time. Eventually, I agreed and visited. We had dinner together and engaged in conversation, but I did so half-heartedly and out of obligation. Otherwise, I was well aware of the dark reality of my mother and her husband, the devil. After that, I didn't visit her for the next 3 years, but I knew what was going on in her life, and she also knew about my life, mainly through my sister. 2 years ago, my mother was in a car accident that left her permanently disabled and wheelchair-bound. After the accident, she moved in with her mother, my grandmother, and my sister takes care of her. Over the past 5 years, I have visited my mother 2 to 3 times, all of which were after her accident and due to my sister's insistence. Otherwise, I don't like her and even find it uncomfortable to refer to her as my mom because she's never been a mother to me. I often vocalize my disdain toward her in front of my sister, with whom I have a fairly good relationship. But our bond is not as close as most sisters have. It is because my sister does not see our childhood as abusive or neglectful. She says our mom did the best she could, and did what most parents do for their children. However, the reality is that she doesn't know what I experienced as a child, because she moved out just after the passing away of our father. In December 2023, my grandmother, with whom my mom was living, passed away. My uncle, William, 63-year-old male, inherited the house in the will, and he wants our mom to leave the house as soon as possible. He gave her $20,000 USD from the inheritance, but she has no place to live, no job, and spends her disability checks on meth and alcohol. Her health is deteriorating day by day. She has already wasted the money she got from Uncle William on drugs and scratch tickets, and now I am receiving random calls from her asking for money. I often ignore her calls because she is not my responsibility. Not only my mother, but my sister is also constantly sending passive-aggressive messages. You need to visit Mom. It can't be just me. Are you gonna help with Mom? I can't keep doing everything. Uncle says you guys need to help me. Blah, blah, blah. I live 2 hours away from Mom, and my sister is 15 minutes away, and she has taken it upon herself to care for Mom. I never asked her to do anything for her, and I'm sick of her trying to make me feel guilty. I have my own needs, and I cannot prioritize my mother over my own needs, particularly when she ignored me my whole childhood. I have a knee injury that needs surgery, and I can't drive or walk for extended periods of time. But my sister has been insisting that I should help her in taking care of Mom. Or at least I should send some money for her medical bills. Yesterday, I told my sister that I am injured and waiting for surgery and cannot send money for Mom, but she continued insisting. When it went beyond the limit, I told her clearly that I am not going to pay a cent for her, and that even if I were perfectly healthy, I would not send her money because she does not need it for medical bills, but for drugs. In this scenario, I don't care if she ends up in a homeless shelter or dies. My mother should be thankful to me because despite her toxic behavior and her husband's assault on me, I visited her 2 to 3 times, but she is being brazen and acting entitled. I am so upset with my mother and sister, and I am fed up with their demands. When I discussed the dilemma with my friend, Mona, she said that I should not behave this way with my mother and that I should take care of her, or at least send money for her bills, because after all, she is my mother. When I mentioned her drug addiction, my friend said she is almost on the verge of life, and we could not make her leave drugs. So, we should pay for what she says. I retorted, even for drugs? And she went silent, but while leaving, she said that I needed to grow up and learn to forgive, and that I was being a jerk in the case of my mother. I don't think I am wrong, but still I am confused. So, am I really the jerk? Hi guys, welcome to MacReddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today I have brought you a Reddit story full of emotions, ambivalence, and regret. I hope you would enjoy it. And don't forget to show your love for MacReddit. Let's dive into it. AITAH for laughing when my boyfriend suggests I be a stay-at-home mom? I, 23-year-old female, recently found out that I'm pregnant, and the father is my boyfriend, Andrew, 25-year-old male. We have been dating for 3 years, and our relationship is pretty good. We both wanted children eventually, though we had planned to have them later, after we're a bit more established in our careers. However, the pregnancy came as a surprise, since we're pretty safe with sex. We use protection, and I'm on birth control, so I guess we were just unlucky. Initially, we considered getting rid of the baby, or placing it for adoption, but we decided to keep it. I graduated from college last year and have a job that pays okay money with the possibility of future promotions and raises. My boyfriend works as an electrician and also makes good money. So with both of our incomes, we should be able to afford the baby. A couple of days after we decided to keep our child, my boyfriend told me that he wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom. He said he believed that having a stay-at-home mom was better for the baby, as he was raised by one and loved it, and he wanted to give our child that same life. He mentioned that he had been talking with his boss, who agreed to give him a raise. With that raise, plus working occasional overtime, he would be able to afford to pay our rent, bills, groceries, and the costs for our baby. He also said he would marry me so I would have extra security. I admit, I burst out laughing when he suggested this. It's just insane to me. Sure, we might be able to afford me being a stay-at-home mum, but it would require budgeting every penny he made. I also just graduated. Does he really think I went to college for 4 years just to be a stay-at-home mum and spend my days doing his laundry and cooking his meals? Also, what if he gets sick or dies? I'm the first person in my entire family to earn my degree. My parents were immigrants, and both had an elementary school-level education. I'm very proud of my education and career. This is something he knows, as I've told him. So I'm surprised he would ever suggest this. I could tell he was upset and hurt by my reaction, but he accepted my decision without arguing. However, he has changed since then. He does not talk much, often comes home late, and occasionally calls me, which gives me vibes that he only calls out of obligation. I am afraid that he might dump me. When I talked about this to one of my friends, she told me that it was mean of me to laugh. I am 100% clear that I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I am confused about whether my reaction to my boyfriend's offer was appropriate or not. So, am I the AH? OP is not an AH for refusing to become a stay-at-home mom, but the way she conveyed it was rough and messy. She could have explained her reasons more tactfully to her boyfriend by explaining to him why she couldn't. The way she did it might strain her relationship with her boyfriend and create problems for both partners, especially for the baby. Communication is key to a successful relationship. When communication gaps occur, relationships suffer and can ultimately break down. What do you, the lovers of MacReddit, think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you like the stories we brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to MacReddit for a daily dose. Bye-bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries. AITAH for refusing to change catering services to accommodate my vegan sister. My fiancé, Daniel, 34-year-old male, and I, 32-year-old female, are in the process of planning our wedding. We recently decided on a catering service that we thought was the best option within our price range to satisfy all of our guests' dietary needs. Most significantly, Daniel's brother has a tree nut allergy, so we chose the menu to accommodate that. When my sister, Meredith, a 37-year-old female, learned about the menu, she reached out to me and told me that she had been eating vegan and gluten-free for health reasons for the last 2 months, and she asked me to set the menu in a way to accommodate her. I was surprised to hear this because she was lying. She said she had been vegan for 2 months, but the reality is that we ate a hamburger together last week. She is known to hop on trends only to move on to something else the next month, whether it be clothes, political views, and now food. So, I highly doubt she will still be vegan and gluten-free by the time the wedding rolls around. At that time, we had not finalized our menu yet, so I sent her the catering website and asked her to pick what she wanted. After a few minutes, my sister informed me that the only vegan gluten-free entree was a mushroom dish and said, "You know I despise mushrooms," and then asked if there was another catering company I could use. It was an appalling request. So, I straightforwardly said no. Both Daniel and I looked through the menus for companies that satisfied all dietary needs of our guests and picked the one we liked the most. It is not all about this. It's also a matter of principle, and not just which food we like. Asking us to change our catering service to accommodate her want, not her need, is incredibly self-centered. If I agreed, I would be enforcing crappy behavior. She complained, "Everyone's needs but mine," and I retorted, "Your needs are met. If you do not like mushrooms, perhaps you can eat beforehand." I thought that would be the end, but the next morning, I woke up to several messages from my sister with links to catering companies, and she asked me to look at them and choose one among them. What the heck is this, man? She was pressing me to change my wedding menu for her, only one guest, the one who always hops on trends. I was not going for it, so I told her that my decision was final, and that if she pressed more, I will uninvite her. She said she was expecting this from me, because I was ready to do whatever my husband and his family wanted, and was not ready to change my wedding menu for my sister. She mentioned that I changed the menu for my fiancé's brother, but I was not willing to make a minor change to it for her. I told her that I didn't change the menu for his wants or demands, but because he is allergic, and it is a genuine reason. On the other hand, she was demanding the change just because she was following a particular trend these days, and that I am not subjecting my guests to a vegan or gluten-free wedding. I told her if she wanted vegan or gluten-free food, she could find a restaurant, and there was no need to attend my wedding. Then I cut off the call. When I told my fiancé about her creepy behavior, he said that I could handle it in a better way. Now, I think he is right, and that I could handle the situation more pleasantly. So, am I the jerk for refusing to change catering services for my sister? AITAH for asking my boyfriend to choose between me and his female best friend, who seems to be crossing boundaries. My boyfriend Jack, 25-year-old male, and I, 26-year-old female, have been dating for 3 years. 7 months ago, he met a girl, Carol, 24-year-old female, who my boyfriend claims is his best friend, but to me, she seems to be crossing boundaries. When I talked to my boyfriend about it, he said there is nothing like that, and that they were just friend, but I was not content with his explanation. So I asked him to choose between me and her. Background. My boyfriend and I have been together for years. I am his first girlfriend, and everything has been great so far except for one thing, his best friend's entry. I believe that men and women can be friends, but I'm starting to doubt if they can be best friends. 7 months back, my boyfriend left his job and joined another company because the new one was offering a higher position and better salary. This is where he met the girl who is now his best friend. The first time I saw her was when she randomly showed up at an arcade where my boyfriend and I were on a date, claiming she wanted to meet me. Though it was weird, I didn't react. Last month, my boyfriend's buddy's wife asked him to bring me to her birthday dinner, but I was not available at that time, so he went with his best friend instead. When I found out, I confronted him and asked why he took her. He said he did so because I couldn't attend. I was shocked and questioned how his best friend could attend a couple's dinner with him, and what he would do if I wasn't available for sex. Would he f*** her? Realizing the situation was escalating, he apologized and assured me that he would maintain boundaries with her and that she would not come between us. However, she did. The following week, I discovered a playlist on Spotify that my boyfriend had created titled Songs Jane Hasn't Listened To. When I inquired about it, he said that he had only made it because she claimed she didn't have diverse music taste. I was tempted to yell at him and punch him in the face, but I didn't, fearing it would worsen the situation. However, I warned him to be cautious, otherwise our relationship might be hurt. He deleted the playlist and assured me that I would not see anything like this in the future, but the promise proved to be bogus. As time went on, I started to realize that every time I was in the car with my boyfriend, his best friend would text him. I mean, every single time. One time we went on a trip where there was no service, and as soon as we got service, he began getting spammed with messages from her. I decided to discuss this with him after I saw yet another text from his best friend, and he reassured me that he had never even thought of getting with her. It just so happened that when he joined the new company, she was the person he became closest to. He has other female friends that I have absolutely no problem with because they do not communicate to the extent that he and his best friend do. I asked him what they talk about all the time, and he had no problem pulling up the messages. I did not ask, didn't even read the messages. That's when I saw she randomly texted him a mirror selfie while brushing her teeth in an oversized t-shirt, captioned, "My hair is crazy right now." When I asked what that was, he didn't acknowledge the picture and tried to change the subject. I told him that I thought it was weird because I have never considered texting my platonic male friends, who I've been friends with for 10 years, selfies of myself. He said that he didn't think anything of it, and he was oblivious because I am his first girlfriend, but he could see why I was worried and said he'd talk to her about it. After seeing the picture, my concern intensified. His relationship with his best friend was clearly different than his relationship with his other female friends, and I was afraid that if they continued being this close, feelings would develop and I would end up getting hurt. So, in the evening, I asked him if he wanted to be with me. He would have to end everything with his best friend. I asked him to choose between me and her. He pretended to be shocked and said I was his girlfriend, the love of his life, and he was planning to propose to me for marriage, and Jane was his friend. Just a friend, nothing more than this, and he was not expecting me to be petty and an AH. Then he left and has not contacted me till now. My friends, who I've discussed this with, think it's weird too, but my boyfriend's claim that he was planning to propose to me has confused me. Am I the AH? Also, what are some boundaries you expect your significant other to set with his opposite gender friends? AITAH for what I said. My family won't let me share any good news because of my sister's disability. I, 26-year-old female, have an older sister, 32-year-old female, who had a tragic accident 3 years ago that left her paralyzed from the waist down. It's been rough for everyone, but especially for her, of course. Our family rallied around her, helping out as much as we can, and I've been there every step of the way because I love her so much. But since the accident, it feels like I don't deserve to have any good things happen to me, or at least I'm not allowed to talk about them. Every time something positive happens in my life, I get shut down by my family. When I got a promotion at work last year, I was so happy and excited to tell them. I thought my family would be happy for me. But when I tried to share the news, my mom pulled me aside and told me not now because my sister had a tough day. I ended up keeping it to myself. 8 months ago, my boyfriend proposed. When I told them, my mom immediately changed the subject, later telling me that my sister was feeling down about her own marriage struggles. It's like anything good in my life is an offense to my sister's situation. This happened a few days ago. I had been saving up for years to buy my first new car. I finally managed to do it, and I was so excited. I thought my family would be happy for me, so I decided to tell them. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, the room went dead silent. My mom whispered to me, "This isn't the time. Think about your sister." My sister looked so sad, and I instantly felt like the worst person in the world. I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I said, "Can't I share anything good in my life? I thought you'd all be happy for me." No one knew what to say, and I left the house. I've never done that before. Now I'm filled with regret and confusion. I love my sister, and I never want to hurt her, but it feels like I'm not allowed to have anything good happen to me. It's getting to the point where I feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time. I understand my sister's life has changed drastically, and I'm genuinely supportive and have always been there for her. But sometimes I just want to be able to share my own life too. I feel so guilty for even feeling this way, like I'm being selfish or inconsiderate. Her husband and even my parents share things about their lives freely, and no one seems to mind. But as the younger sister, I'm not allowed to share anything good in front of her, so I don't hurt her feelings. I get it. I really do. I understand she's going through a lot, and I don't want to add to her pain. But it feels like I'm not allowed to have any joy in my life around my family. Now I know I owe my sister an apology for how I reacted. I never want to make her feel sad, but I'm struggling with how to approach my family. I don't feel like I should apologize to them. And honestly, I don't think I'll be sharing anything with them in the future. So, AITAH for what I said. AITAH for telling my husband he needs to quit his dream job because his pay is very low, and I feel like the burden of our finances is being placed on me. I, 32-year-old female, and my husband, 29-year-old male, live in an area with an extremely high cost of living. I work a job that pays decently well, which is kind of necessary to live where we do. My husband worked a job for years that paid less than mine did, but was okay overall, though he absolutely hated working there. Around October of last year, my husband managed to get a job in his dream career field. He had been working at it, as a hobby, for years, and was really excited about finally getting there. However, his new job has come with a lot of problems for us. The big issue is the pay. His salary in his field is very low, around half of what he used to earn before. Another issue is that he works as a freelancer, which is standard in his industry. On the other hand, I work a difficult job. We don't have combined finances, and after he took the new job, we had to rearrange how we pay for things to account for his lower income. Previously, he had covered a slightly larger percentage of the expenses, due to me having student loans to pay off while he didn't. As it is now, I have to be the breadwinner since his income is very low. I sat him down recently and told him I felt he needed to quit his job and find a better paying field because it just wasn't feasible. He got upset since, like I said, this is something he has dreamed of for years and worked really hard to get, which I understand. But I just feel this isn't fair to me. We have had to cut back on a lot of things, and there's not really any sign of a pay increase at this point. I feel like I'm carrying him. He offered to get a part-time job on the side, but I know anything he could get that would be feasible for him while keeping his current job wouldn't provide much. He suggested we move somewhere less expensive, to which I said absolutely not, since we'd have to go quite a way to find something in that range, and it would mean ridiculously long commutes to my work and being further away from my family. He offered to have his parents help, which I don't want because it's not a long-term solution. He's extremely upset, and I understand it because I know he worked hard to get here. If he quit now, it would basically kill his career, and it would be extremely hard for him to get another shot at this job. It's not like we're struggling, which is true. We can pay rent and put food on the table, but I hate feeling like this. I work long days at a rather difficult job, while he works from home doing something he did before as a hobby and only makes half as much money now. My point is that it's not like he has to stop doing what he does altogether, since as I mentioned, he did it as a hobby beforehand, but he's upset because he said this is the only thing he has ever wanted to do career-wise, and giving it up now would mean he likely never would be able to make it work. But I feel like the burden of our finances is being placed on me. So, am I the jerk? AITAH for shrugging when my dad's wife told me that she and her children from her late husband need all of dad's money. I, 17-year-old male, have a strained relationship with my stepmom, Luna, 42-year-old female. It is because she recently told me that she and her children from her late husband need all of dad's money. She said it was getting difficult for them to manage their expenses. She asked me to stop blackmailing dad, to extract money from my mother, because she was no longer dad's problem, part of dad's family. I told her that her children from her late husband were also not dad's problem, and that if dad wants to have a relationship with me, he must support my mom financially. I don't care what they have to cut back on. For context, my dad, Henry, 45-year-old man, left my mom, Clara, 44-year-old woman, to be with the woman he was cheating on her with. At that time, I was 14. During the divorce, my father tried to preserve a positive image in my eyes, but he couldn't succeed. Despite his attempts, I couldn't help but harbor negative feelings towards him. We always knew my parents would end up with shared custody until I was 17 at least. From experience, the judges in family court will only stop enforcing shared custody when a kid turns 17 and speaks out. Any younger, and they insist on 50-50. I also knew that my mom would face financial challenges in the future, as she earned less than my dad and wouldn't receive child support due to the 50-50th custody agreement. So, when my father pleaded with me to give him a chance to show he could still be a good dad, and he said he would do anything for me, I insisted that he continue supporting my mom to ensure she wouldn't struggle financially. I believed she deserved that much after everything she had been through, and I wanted to see her thrive. My dad agreed and paid it as child support instead of spousal support or whatever it's called. It really helped my mom, and she actually went back to school to get a better job. Dad is still paying that money. He knows I appreciate him doing it, and he also knows it's one of the reasons I didn't screw up him. My mom is also less stressed. She has mixed feelings about my dad giving her money when legally he doesn't need to, but she also knows this is the only way for me not to feel the need to help support her. Here comes my dad's wife, my stepmom. She has never liked that my father has any relationship with me and my mom, and my father paid money to my mom in the name of child support. Initially, paying this money was not a problem for my father, but now my dad's household is struggling a bit. His wife's son and daughter were involved in dance, football, softball, karate, music lessons, and an art class as paid extracurricular activities. My dad and his wife also have a baby together. The wife's kids had to cut back on 2 activities because they can't afford them anymore. It upsets dad's wife because if dad wasn't paying the money to my mom, they could still afford those things. She told me I should stop obligating my dad to support mom because they need it more, and my mom isn't their problem. I told her she and her kids are not my problem. She told me they're my family, while mom is not her or her kids' family or my dad's anymore. I told her she and her kids are dad's family but not mine. She told me they need all of dad's money right now before more things need to be cut back on. I shrugged in response. She told me I was so callously flippant, and it wasn't a good look to care so little about my siblings' lives. Only one of her kids, the baby, is technically my half-sibling. So, am I the jerk? Hi guys, welcome to MacReddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today I have an intriguing Reddit story to share with you. The story revolves around the ruthless behavior of a girl who shows a lack of concern for her boyfriend's 10-year-old foster son and expects her boyfriend to do the same. I hope you would enjoy the story, and don't forget to show your love. Let's dive into it. My girlfriend is fed up with me being a foster parent, and we have not talked for a week after the fight. I need advice on where to go from here. My girlfriend, Sophia, 28-year-old female, and I, 31-year-old male, had a big fight because she doesn't consider my foster son, Liam, 11 years old, a part of my family, doesn't care about his feelings, and above all, she wants me to not take him and his feelings seriously. Last week, she planned a romantic getaway. Initially, I was very excited, but later I realized that she had planned it for the same weekend my foster son was meeting his biological mom after 4 years. When I asked her why she couldn't plan the getaway on another weekend, she said that I was prioritizing my foster son over her, and she was not ready to accept it at any rate. I tried to convince her that it would not affect our relationship, but she kicked off an argument, a heated one, due to which we have been angry for a week. Background: my girlfriend and I met at university almost 10 years ago. We had been friends on and off since then, but we were never super close. We met again at a New Year's party in 2023 and started talking more, eventually leading to us dating. I have been a foster parent for years. My parents were foster parents when I was growing up, and once I reached the age to qualify, I became one myself. I have been fostering since I was about 22 years old. Currently, I am fostering 3 boys. The older 2 are biological brothers who moved in with me in early 2022, and the third, Liam, has lived with me since June 2019. This is something that I obviously made very clear to my girlfriend when we started dating, and she said that she had no problem with it. I introduced her as my girlfriend to my foster sons about 6 months ago. I know it took me a long time, but I'm super cautious about introducing new people to them, especially considering some of their past experiences with step-parents. She never rushed me into introducing them and has never tried to forge a relationship with them. My foster son Liam has been moved to a long-term placement with me. It means he is never going to be removed from my household or reintroduced back into his biological family. He is my son, he calls me dad, etc. He hadn't been in contact with his biological family for over 4 years and has been really wanting to get in touch with his mom. I have been trying my hardest to arrange this for him, but his bio-mom just hasn't been willing. This is something my foster son Liam really struggles with. He has such complex feelings of abandonment that I couldn't even begin to unpick them here. But I have been working to build his self-worth back up. It has been a long road with so many ups and downs, but I feel like I am getting somewhere with him finally. Last month, I finally managed to arrange contact with his biological mom, and she agreed to meet him in person. This is something he has been begging for years. When I told my girlfriend that my foster son's mom is ready to meet him, and I am going with him, she seemed off immediately after. When I asked, she just told me that she had a bad day at work, even though she seemed fine prior. About 5 days after I informed her of the arranged contact, she asked to meet up for a romantic dinner. I asked my mom to take care of the boys for the evening and met my girlfriend at her favorite restaurant. There, she told me she had booked a romantic lodge trip. I was initially excited. However, I later discovered that she had booked it for the same weekend when my foster son Liam was meeting his biological mom. After realizing this, I informed my girlfriend that I wouldn't be able to go with her as I needed to be with my foster son. I knew he would have a hard time processing his emotions and thoughts after the contact and would require my support. She went off on me, saying how I always prioritize the boys and never her, and how I should be happy that she booked and paid for the getaway even though I make more money than her. She said I should get my mom to do the contact or ask their agency to arrange someone. I said no, I wanted to be there to support my son. She said something along the lines of, "You won't be able to do this when we have a child." We ended up having a huge argument. She left the restaurant and then texted me some pretty nasty things later. However, I didn't reply. Yesterday, she messaged just normal messages, as if nothing happened, but I haven't responded. I have come to realize that she doesn't see my foster sons as truly part of my family. Instead, she views me as a babysitter, rather than a father figure. I don't want our relationship to end because I genuinely love her. I am someone who is open about my feelings, and I have been feeling very down since our argument. It has been especially difficult because I had to hide my emotions from my foster son Liam, who has been feeling depressed after seeing his mom. I don't want him to see me in a low state. I am feeling lost and unsure about what to do next. I don't want to hear the advice of just break up because I am not ready to consider that option. It's challenging to meet people who understand my profession, and I am heartbroken because I believed I had found someone genuine. Hi guys, welcome to Mac Reddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today I have brought you a very interesting Reddit story of broken bonds. I hope you would enjoy it, and don't forget to show your love. Let's dive into it. AITAH for refusing to attend my father's second wedding ceremony, which is taking place after 11 years of his marriage. My sister, Mia, 26-year-old female, and I, 27-year-old male, have decided not to attend our father Simon's, 53-year-old male, second marriage ceremony, which he and his wife have organized after 11 years of their marriage. You heard right, 11 years. For context, our mother, Sophia, died in a car accident 12 years ago. Our father was also involved in the accident. He was badly injured but survived and remained hospitalized for over a month. At that time, I was 16 and my sister was 14. The accident was a devastating incident in our lives. There was no one we could reach out to in that difficult time. And the only emotional support we thought we had, our father, was also hospitalized. Our father's business also started to suffer because of his absence, especially because he was injured, and there seemed to be no chance of his recovery. We, the young souls, were really desperate. After 2 months, our father was discharged from the hospital, and we were overjoyed that our lives were returning to normal, though we still missed our mother greatly. However, this happiness was short-lived. About 7 months after his discharge, our father introduced us to his girlfriend Olivia, a 32-year-old nurse from the hospital where he was admitted. He told us that they were thinking of getting married. We had no problem with our father moving on and finding a new partner, as he had also gone through a horrific incident and needed a shoulder to lean on. Honestly speaking, we were happy for our father. However, things took a sharp turn just after he married that woman. They married in a private ceremony, attended only by our close relatives and our stepmom's family. After the marriage, she moved in with us, bringing along her 2-year-old son, David, from her late husband. Upon moving in, the first thing she did was remove any traces of our mother, discarding everything that belonged to her: photos, clothes, jewelry, personal items, her phone, and even the letters she had written to my sister and me for our milestones. She was erasing memories of our mom from our house and trying to remove her from our minds, and our father did nothing to stop her. This was the moment we began to hate our father. When we confronted our stepmother, Dad tried to pacify us by saying, "Life is temporary. No one stays forever. We must learn to cope with the absence of those we once cherished," and insisted that we must adapt to the new situation and accept his wife as our mother. While he seemed to be a sage at that moment, the reality was quite different. He was and is submissive to his wife, and he had crafted these lines to pacify us so that we wouldn't interfere with his wife's wishes and let her do as she pleased. My sister and I saw our father in a very different light after this, and our anger towards him was palpable. For me, the next 2 years were the most tense of my life, and my sister had 4 years to go. We had no option but to live with them and bear the mental torture. The night I turned 18, I left home and moved in with a friend, Henry. He has been a genuine friend to me and helped me whenever I needed him. When my father learned about it, he contacted me and asked me to return home and asked why I moved out in such haste. His request was okay, but his question, "Why did you move out?" was astonishing. I could have answered the question very well, but I decided to avoid any confrontation with him, so I simply said, "Now, I am 18, and I have the right to make my own decisions." And then I hung up the call. I thought he would not contact me after that, but he regularly does, every Sunday at 8 p.m. I didn't get the logic of 8 p.m. After moving out, I started working part-time and enrolled at DePaul University to pursue my degree in cybersecurity. 2 years later, my sister also joined me. Initially, I was living with my friend Henry, but when she moved out, we rented a duplex and started living together as a family, though incomplete without our mother and father, the man he would be before the death of our mother. Since then, I have not visited home. However, our father regularly calls us and even visited us once. We met him and talked. We told him we understood he was chasing happiness again and acknowledged that he should have done better. But we made it clear that we could not look at him the same way ever again because of his silence on his wife's actions when she moved in with us and her behavior towards us afterwards. We also told him that there was no chance of things repairing. He left disappointed and has not visited us again. However, he calls every Sunday at 8 p.m. Now, I am working as a cybersecurity expert and am in the process of launching my own cybersecurity consultancy company. My sister is pursuing her master's degree from a reputable university. After moving out, I have only talked to my father out of obligation and visited home 3 to 4 times when my sister was still living there. In fact, these visits were for her. Last week, my father called me and invited me to attend the wedding ceremony of his second marriage. Yeah, the one he had around 11 years ago. When I asked my father why they were having this ceremony after so many years of their wedding, he said their marriage seemed boring without a ceremony. There were no memories, and blah blah blah, so they had decided to have one. While inviting, he mentioned that he had no children with his second wife, so our presence was necessary because he wanted his children, his own, to be part of that ceremony. I told him I was busy and would not be able to attend. Although I was not actually busy, I made up an excuse to avoid going because I dislike my father's wife. Actually, I hate her, and I don't want to see her. On my refusal, he said that if we didn't attend the wedding, their marriage would remain incomplete again. These were lame arguments, so I didn't agree to attend the wedding. However, I said I would discuss the invitation with my sister because we both were to make this decision, whether to attend it or not, as we are in the same boat. When I discussed it with my sister, she said this was a ridiculous demand, and she, like me, also questioned the idea of arranging such a ceremony. A 10-year-old can understand the purpose of that ceremony, to show off that my sister and I were their successful offspring, but we are not. We are self-made, and we don't owe anything to them. I think it is the meanest method of building relations with successful people. In the last 4 days, my father has called us more than 10 times, and he talks about nothing but his wedding with that greedy woman. We are not willing to attend their wedding at any rate. We hate our father's wife. We haven't forgotten what she has been doing. Despite what my father and his wife did to us, I respect my father, but not his wife. However, my sister and I have no intention of attending their wedding. His continuous calls, messages, and requests have compelled me to write this post. I want to ask, am I the AH for not attending my father's wedding ceremony? And I also need your advice on this. I don't think OP is an AH. No doubt the ceremony has been organized for show-off and to build relationships for gold digging. However, I think OP's father has something to tell, perhaps some secrets that only he and his nurse wife know. Note that OP's father has no child with his second wife, and he owns a relatively large business. OP needs to talk to his father about it. Perhaps he needs to rescue his father at any cost, even if he has to attend that wedding for it. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoy the stories we share, hit the like button, share them as much as possible, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow with more spicy stories. Hi guys! Welcome to Mac Reddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today, I have brought a very interesting Reddit story, a sauce full of spices and chilies. I hope you would enjoy it. And don't forget to show your love for Mac Reddit. Let's dive into the story. AITAH for saying no to my husband, who expects me to help his parents whenever they need me. I, 39-year-old female, have been married to my husband, Theodore, 42-year-old male, for over 10 years. And his parents have always been a constant issue in our marriage. They have consistently asked me for help with filling out paperwork, online forms, updating their phones, and anything tech-related. I have been juggling a job, managing our household, and now our children are going to school, adding to my responsibilities. I didn't have much time and was tired of constantly assisting my husband's parents. Finally, I told my husband that his parents were in their early 60s. They are not dinosaurs. They can figure things out on their own. And that I was no longer willing to help them. If they need assistance, they should consider hiring a personal assistant. Enough is enough. Upon hearing this, my husband became very angry and said, "If you force me to choose between my parents and you, I will choose my parents and divorce you." I was already frustrated with my husband's parents, but now I am also fed up with my husband. Initially, my husband and I used to live with his parents, but when my husband's sister got married, they bought a house in another state and moved there to be midway between my husband and his sister. I felt blessed when they moved out, But my happiness was temporary because they started visiting us often and unexpectedly, which actually increased my problems. Now, they have moved near our home, doubling my tension. When his parents used to visit us unexpectedly, no heads up, telling us when they were already driving and about 5 hours away from our place, they would inform us that they were coming and planning to stay with us for 3 to 4 days. I always found this extremely annoying and weird. I told my husband that we are not a Holiday Inn and asked him to tell his parents that they must let us know in advance about their visit. It would give us a couple of days in advance so I could clean the house, I have kids, and the house gets dirty, and get their room ready. My husband always thought this was ridiculous of me and would insist it was not a big deal, but it is for me. I'm the one who had to clean the entire house, get the bed sheets washed, run to the store, and get extra food to plan lunches and dinners. Their repeated visits are not the only problem. Their behavior, particularly regarding religious matters, is unbearable. I was raised Catholic, but have stopped attending church. My in-laws were also Catholic but converted to Christianity 15 years ago. To me, it's almost the same thing, but to them, it's completely different. Now, they are extremely religious, and their extremism is a problem for me and our children. I have questioned my faith several times and refused to bring my children up in something I don't 100% believe in. I believe in God, and my children believe in God, but I just don't believe you have to go to church to be saved and go to heaven. So, I want the same for my children. But my husband's parents don't want that. Instead, they try to make our children believe in what they do and follow their rituals. Whenever we eat together, they would make us pray before we had our meals and put us on the spot by saying, "Okay, you pray today." Our children always found this uncomfortable, and I had to tell them that it's just something we have to deal with when they come over. Another thing is they always talked about how we need to take our kids to church and how we need to raise them to read the Bible. I was raised to respect someone's home. You don't go to someone's house, take over, and tell them how to live their lives and raise their children. I've had to sit down and listen to them ramble on and on about their beliefs, how Catholics are doing it wrong, and so on. To me, I believe to each their own. If someone wants to pray to a unicorn and it makes them happy, let them be. I would never force my beliefs and opinions onto anyone. By the way, I'm not saying God is a unicorn. I'm just simply saying you do you, boo. Who am I to judge? The burden of the demands of my husband's parents and their beliefs increased on me when they sold their home and decided to move closer to us, just 30 minutes away. The reason for their move near us is very interesting, but also ridiculous. My sister-in-law got a new job in the same state we live in, and her rented home is an hour away from ours. My husband's parents moved so that they are midway between us and their daughter. This is ridiculous, isn't it? My son calls his grandparents burger steaks, because they always try to position themselves between their daughter and son, just like steaks are always between buns. After moving near our home, they don't visit us much. Instead, they call me to help them at their home, and I have been going there as an unpaid personal assistant, but no more. They have always asked me for help filling out paperwork, online paperwork, updating their phones, anything tech-related. You name it, I have had to help since day one of us getting married. Here is where I have had enough. And I have finally put my foot down and told my husband no more. I told my husband that they are his parents, and he needs to deal with them instead of throwing them at me for help. He says he is busy with work and doesn't have the time. He does have a stressful job, no doubt, but they are not my parents, my responsibility. I have my own job, and I am also the one taking care of our children and doing all of the housework. We have been arguing more and more to the point where I told him, either you tell them enough is enough, and they need to figure it out on their own, or I'm going to, but it will not be in the nicest way. I told him that his parents are trying to enslave me, like the in-laws of the Dark Ages. Otherwise, they don't need my help. I told him that his parents are in their early 60s. They are not dinosaurs. They can figure things out on their own. If they cannot, they must hire a personal assistant, and I don't want to become an unpaid one. My husband became very angry with me on this, but I stood my ground. I finally started to put up boundaries. When his mom sent me a text asking if I was available that afternoon to help them pay a bill online, I agreed to help. However, I also informed her that I'm available on a specific day. His mom then called me saying, "I know you're busy, but can't you help us right now?" I told her again that I was sorry, but this was the only day I was available. However, I did send her instructions on how to pay online. 3 days later, They asked me to print out paperwork for them, and if I was available. I was not, and told them I would be available the following day. They called my husband while he was at work, telling him they needed the paperwork printed ASAP. My husband got mad at me when he got home, saying, "Why couldn't you help them?" He felt inconvenienced having to help them while he was at work and mentioned that I had a few minutes to assist them. Like, seriously? I told him, enough is enough. I can help, but I'm not an effing personal assistant. He has told me he will divorce me if I make him choose between his parents or me. I'm not making him choose. What I am saying is, they are not my problem. I am not responsible for them. It's his and his siblings' responsibility to help them. Am I the jerk? OP is not a jerk here. She is not obliged to help her husband's parents, particularly to the level of a personal assistant. It is on her husband to deal with his parents. Instead, OP's parents-in-law are AH, big AH, for being so dependent on their daughter-in-law. I believe they are still in the dark ages. They are weird people. However, I must say that OP is wrong when she proudly tells what her son says about his grandparents. This is wrong, I believe. The best way to raise children is to teach them to disagree, but not disrespect anyone. This is my point. What do the lovers of MacReddit think, whether the OP is AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories we brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to MacReddit for a daily dose. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow, some more spicy fries. Hi guys! Welcome to MacReddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today I have brought a very interesting Reddit story, exclusively for you. I hope you will enjoy it, and don't forget to show your love. Let's dive into it. Am I the jerk for not making a bigger deal out of my half-sister celebrating the end of my parents' marriage? My parents announced 2 months ago that they are getting divorced. I, a 16-year-old female, kind of saw it coming, but it still makes me sad. My half-sister, a 25-year-old female, has been celebrating ever since she heard. She cheered when our dad told her. She has gloated in my mom's and my faces. She told mom she can forget about being a part of her life or going to her wedding now, as my half-sister is engaged. My half-sister always hated that dad remarried after her mom died when she was 5, and she said she never wanted to have my mom or me around. She was always praying for the end of the marriage. She used to try to break them up in the past. Dad would get so mad and frustrated with her, but she never let the dream die, and now her dream has come true. The last time Mom or I saw my half-sister was when Dad was moving out. She stopped by briefly and gloated so hard. This was also when she told Mom she was no longer invited to the wedding and would no longer be a part of her life. My mom was upset. Despite my half-sister's dislike of her and constant disrespect, my mom loves her and is sad to see it all end before they had a chance to even be friends. Though my mom always wanted to be family to my half-sister, my maternal aunt saw that my sister had posted on social media about a party she threw to celebrate the divorce. My mom was upset about it, but I brushed it off because I knew she would be happy about it. Her celebration did not surprise me at all. However, my mom asked me why I was so calm and collected about it. I explained to her that I had expected her reaction and knew she wanted this badly. Mom said she would have expected me to be upset. I told her that maybe I would have been upset if I had expected something different from her, but I didn't. I also pointed out that everyone in her comments seemed to know as well. Many comments mentioned how she had always predicted it and how happy they were that she had achieved this win. To me, it all seemed silly. My aunt confronted me afterward and told me I should be making a bigger deal out of it because it looks like I don't care about the weird and over-the-top reaction from my half-sister. She said Mom must feel like I don't care about her heartache at all. So, am I the jerk? OP is not an AH, but I would suggest OP to pretend to be upset in front of her mother. It might comfort her mother. What do the MacReddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories we brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to MacReddit for a daily dose. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow with some more spicy fries. Hi guys, welcome to MacReddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today I have brought a very spicy Reddit story. It is the story of a couple who are fighting about the honeymoon before the wedding. The fight started when the would-be bride spent 10,000 USD on her wedding dress. I hope you will enjoy it, and don't forget to show your love. Let's dive into the story. AITAH for canceling our honeymoon after my fiancé spent $10,000 on her wedding dress? My fiancé, Evelyn, 29-year-old female, and I, 30-year-old male, are set to get married the next month. We have a small budget for our wedding, and it will be an intimate affair with only about 30 guests, hosted on a family property. We have been doing decorations ourselves, using online RSVPs, and ordering our wedding cake from Costco to save costs. We were saving money to have a wonderful honeymoon. However, my fiancée ruined the whole plan by spending $10,000 on her wedding dress. When I learned about it, I canceled the honeymoon trip, and now she is very angry. Background? I earn around $60K USD annually, while my fiancée comes from a well-off family and works at her father's office, earning around $130K USD. After being in a relationship for about 5 years, we got engaged last year. My fiancée suggested that we should get married soon after the engagement, but I asked her to delay it because I couldn't afford a wedding ceremony at that time. She said she would bear all the expenses if I were willing, but I was not. I told her that I believe in absolute equality between genders, and I didn't want to be a burden on her, and that if she took the whole burden, it would hurt my self-respect. She understood my point, and we delayed the wedding for a year. I had some savings and thought that I would save more so that I could pay my share of wedding expenses. After 1 year, I had enough money to pay for a good wedding ceremony. However, I didn't have any money to pay for my share of honeymoon expenses. When I told this to my fiancée, she said she would cover the honeymoon and asked me to relax, but I was not ready for it, and she knew why. So, we finally decided that we would have a low-budget wedding, but a luxurious honeymoon. We opened a joint account and deposited our shares into it to start preparing for the wedding. Since our budget was low, we decided to do the decorations ourselves. We didn't print wedding cards. Instead, we used RSVPs. We ordered the wedding cake from Costco and bought many other things from there as well. When it came to wedding dresses, I left my fiancée to buy her wedding dress because I thought she would be mature enough to stay within our budget. But she proved me wrong. I was out when I received a message about a deduction of 10,000 USD from our joint account. I was confused as to why she withdrew such a large amount of money. I tried calling her, but her number was busy. When I returned home in the evening, I asked her where she had spent the money. She told me that she had paid 10K USD for her wedding dress. I was shocked to hear this. When I asked why she had spent so much money on a dress she would only wear once, she said that it was her dream wedding dress and she had compromised on having an ugly wedding for my sake. I had no idea she felt that way because she had never expressed it before. Then she went on to say that she could pay for the dress, and if I were not okay with it, she would pay from her own account. I told her that we cannot afford both the dress and the honeymoon trip, but she said that she could. Her retort was shocking to me, and I said, "Then what about the commitment we made about the expenses of the wedding and honeymoon?" She said, "Forget the past and move on," and that there was no need to be so egocentric, and that she would pay for both the wedding and the honeymoon. Though I might seem to be, I am not egocentric, but I don't want to be a lesser pawn in a relationship. In the evening, I cancelled our honeymoon trip. It was booked through an agency, and we had insurance, so we only lost out on 250 USD each. If I had waited any longer, it would have been a lot pricier to cancel. When she found out I had cancelled the honeymoon, she got very angry. She said I had no right to cancel the honeymoon, and if I didn't fix it, she would go on the honeymoon alone. The entire wedding party has weighed in, and her friends are hammering me mercilessly about it. Even her dad is mad at me. However, my friends and family are on my side. I understand it is important to discuss with your partner before taking such important decision, but I have been feeling very low and humiliated since that day. I feel like my fiancé doesn't treat me as an equal partner and wants to make me submissive. So, am I the AH? What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit. For a daily dose, bye-bye. See you tomorrow with some more spicy fries. Hi guys, welcome to Mac Reddit, where tales are not just told, they come alive. As always, today I have brought you a very interesting Reddit story of a broken bond and boiling pain. I hope you will enjoy it. And don't forget to show your love. Let's dive into it. AITAH, for not letting my drug-addicted mom see my minor sister without the supervision of CPS. A few days ago, I, 23-year-old female, was supposed to pick up our little sister, Ava, 7, whom I have sole custody of, but our aunt, the younger sister of our mother, overstepped and said she would pick her up and drop her off to me. She took 45 minutes to do so, even though I live 10 minutes away and was only 5 minutes away from the pickup location. In the evening, my little sister informed me that while she was with our aunt, she saw our drug-addicted mother, who is only allowed to be seen during supervised visits with CPS. This made me very angry, and I called the aunt to ask her why she took my minor sister to meet my drug-addicted mother. I informed her that from now on, she was also not allowed to see my minor sister. Background: our mother, Barbara, 45-year-old female, has been an alcoholic since she was 16. Our late father didn't know about it before their marriage. He discovered it only 2 months into their marriage. Our father told us that he became angry upon this discovery, but my mom promised that she would quit alcohol. However, instead of quitting alcohol, over time, she started abusing drugs, such as cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and others. She also started living away from home for days, which strained her relationship with our father and led to fights between them. Despite all odds, our father tried to salvage their marriage, but he failed ultimately after 24 years. The final straw in their relationship was when Dad found Mom cheating on him with a man named Henry, 49. He is, unfortunately, now our stepdad. After the cheating incident, Dad initiated divorce proceeding, and our parents separated soon after. At that time, I was 17, and my sister was just 1. After 6 months of the divorce, our father passed away in a car accident. Though it was apparently a car accident, it had its deep roots. My father was very depressed after the day he caught our mom cheating on him. I believe this is one of the main reasons behind his death. Anyway, as my mother was unfit for parenting and my dad had passed away, the court granted custody of my sister to my grandmother, but she passed away soon after. Following her death, I became my sister's sole custodian and guardian. My mother is not allowed to see my sister, and she can only meet her in the presence of a CPS officer. I earn a handsome salary, so I can easily afford to bring my sister up. However, I am sometimes very busy with my work, so whenever I am not available, my uncle and his wife look after her. However, last week my mom's sister overstepped and said she would pick my sister up from school and drop her off to me. She had been a decent lady, so I agreed. However, she took 45 minutes to do so. Normally, it takes no more than 20 minutes to reach home from my sister's school. I didn't notice this delay at that time. In the evening, my sister told me that while she was with our aunt, she saw our estranged mother. It made me very angry, and I called the aunt and told her that she is not allowed to see our sister. Instead of accepting her mistake and apologizing, she began telling me there was no need for me to tell you because that is her mom, and she began attacking me verbally. She said she isn't wrong for hiding it, invalidated how I felt, and disregarded how crucial it is for me to know these things. After some time, my mom's family began texting me, and even our grandma took my aunt's side. Initially, I tried to make them understand how important it was for my sister to stay away from our mom, but they were not ready to listen. So, finally, I clearly told all of them that none of them were allowed to meet my sister, and if they tried, they would have to face the consequences. My mom's family doesn't understand that I have dedicated all of my energy to my sister's well-being, and they are working against it. It is pathetic of them. My cousin says that I am being overprotective and that I should not have treated my mom's family this way. She also said that my mom is not a criminal. Instead, she is a victim of addiction and is desperate to meet her daughter, and that I should let my mom see my younger sister without the supervision of CPS, mentioning that courts only consider evidence and do not care about emotions. And I should do? I am not ready to compromise even an inch on my sister's welfare, but I am confused about whether I should let my drug-addicted mom meet my sister. So, am I the AH? And I also need your suggestion on whether I should let my mom see my sister unsupervised. OP is NTA. Emotions matter, but not at the cost of the welfare of a minor. If OP's mom is so desperate to see her daughter, she must change her habits and wean off drugs so that she can meet her daughter without any supervision. Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories we brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to MacReddit for a daily dose. Bye bye. See you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.